This is my second Miley Cyrus related video in under 3 months, and honestly, I'm not complaining because in today's episode, I will talk about her 7th studio album, Plastic Hearts, and why it is her best album to date. The production, flawless, the lyrics, amazing, the aesthetics, chef's kiss. So why in 2025 nobody seems to talk about this album? So like I said, Plastic Hearts is the 7th studio album by Miley Cyrus that got released on November 27th, 2020. Already 5 years ago. This is insane. And it was released under the label RCA Records with a total of 15 songs, which 2 of them were covers and 1 of them is a remix with Stevie Nicks. This album debuted at number 1 on the US Billboard Top Rock Albums charts and number 2 on the Billboard 200 and received positive reviews from music critics. 3 singles were released for this album, the first one being Midnight Sky, which is a song that talks about an emotional tale of Miley feeling trapped in a relationship and wanting to break free. The second single is Prisoner featuring Dua Lipa, which is a song that captures what it's like to be trapped in an unhealthy, manipulative relationship where the partner keeps pulling them back. And the third and final single for Plastic Hearts is called Angels Like You, which is a rock ballad where Miley is full of self-loathing as she recounts her own shortcomings, which have led to the downfall of her past relationships. As of October 2023, Plastic Hearts has surpassed 3 billion streams on Spotify, making it the most streamed rock album of the decade on this platform. Like, this is so insane. So why do I believe this is her best album? First of all, her attitude, her aesthetics. She's so rock genre coded. I don't know if it's a hot take or not, but I genuinely believe that Miley Cyrus is a modern true rock artist. Her voice fits perfectly this genre. Again, her aesthetic, her being able to, no pun intended, rock a mullet, insane. And this album overall is just filled with raw emotions, with Miley telling her stories, telling her heartbreaks, telling the moments where she felt so low, telling her mistakes, telling that sometimes she was at fault and not being quote unquote perfect and only blaming like the significant other. This album has a lot of highs where you feel like you just want to dance and scream, and a lot of other moments where you just want to like sit in your bed and like kind of cry a little. And you know what? We love a girl who can do both. And this album is so fucking good, and it sucks that it's so underrated. And if you ask for my personal favorites in this album, in no particular order, it has to be Angels Like You, High, and Never Be the Same. Like, so freaking good. Now, let's talk about the real drama. Why did this album not get the proper recognition? At first, I thought that it was maybe because this album was released on November 27th, 2020. Remember what happened during this year? So I was like, yeah, maybe it was a bad timing because labels didn't know how to promote their artists because we were all just staying in our houses. But then, I remember that 2 big artists have released big albums, career-defining albums in 2020. Dua Lipa with Future Nostalgia and The Weeknd with Blinding Lights. And them releasing these albums in 2020, it didn't stop them to receive such success from these albums. So I feel like blaming COVID because of Plastic Hearts not being so successful, it just doesn't feel right because you have a counter argument to say otherwise for these other artists. Another factor that I thought it was kind of weird on why Plastic Hearts didn't get the proper recognition. It was the first album after Miley Cyrus got divorced with her on and off relationship with Liam Hemsworth for 10 years. She got divorced on August 2019, and then she got in a relationship with Cody Simpson from October 2019 till August 2020. So two relationships where the public already know the existence of these guys because they're in the entertainment industry. So people usually, after like big relationships like Miley had with Cody Simpson and Liam Hemsworth, people usually get even more curious when a singer releases an album after like big heartbreaks, because they're like, oh my god, let's see like if she's spilling some tea and stuff. And a good example is Taylor Swift with her breakup with Joe Alwyn, which she was with him for 6 years. When she released The Tortured Poet Department, which was officially like the first album that she released being broken up with Joe Alwyn, a lot of people were excited to see which songs were going to be about him, like the tea that was spilled, like what was the reason and stuff. So it just made fans even more excited for the album release. And I feel like that energy wasn't met when it came to Miley Cyrus and her album Plastic Hearts, which I think is kind of weird because in a PR perspective, people should have talked more about that album, but they didn't. Another factor on why I thought at first that maybe this is the reason why this album didn't get the proper recognition was maybe because of its genre, which is the rock genre. Maybe the large public doesn't really care about this genre, but then I realized that less than a year later, there were a big insurgence of pop rock genre where, hello, Olivia Rodrigo with her album Sour and Machine Gun Kelly with a lot of his songs and albums, like, they were the two main faces of pop rock punk genre back in 2021. So why didn't Plastic Hearts receive the love that it should have received, knowing that less than a year later it was so popular to release a lot of pop rock, pop punk songs? Like, I really don't understand. Another factor where I asked myself, oh, maybe this is the reason why Plastic Hearts didn't get the proper recognition, is due to Miley Cyrus' label, which is RCA Records. If you don't know, there's kind of like a myth, quote unquote, going on with this record label. Every artist who gets signed with this label, they're kind of saying that they will get the RCA curse, because people have noticed that ever since an artist gets signed in this label, they notice that their career kind of declines. They don't release as much songs as they used to. They don't release as much albums as they used to. They don't get the proper marketing for their artists and like marketing for their future songs and albums. So it's kind of like a quote-unquote myth, because there's a lot of artists who unfortunately happens to like go along the ways that this myth may allegedly be a true thing. Like artists like Normani, who fucking released her first studio album like 6 or 7 years after her single Motivation. What the hell? Same thing for Tinashe, and honestly the list goes on. But this curse, on the other hand, we shouldn't necessarily take it too seriously, because there's other big major artists who are signed with RCA Records and who are well known in the fucking music industry, like SZA, Lisa from Blackpink. So maybe this isn't the reason on why Plastic Hearts by Miley Cyrus didn't get the proper recognition. Another factor is that maybe because Miley Cyrus is known to be a chameleon when it comes to her work, when it comes to her albums, when it comes to her sound and aesthetics, maybe because she is such a good chameleon and she's able to adapt to different sounds and like genres and aesthetics, maybe it prevents her fans from like having like, oh, this is a Miley Cyrus song, this is what I can expect, this is the Miley Cyrus look and stuff. Maybe that's the reason, because she's so unexpected when it comes to her art. But then I realized that another big artist does the same thing and is really well fucking known, Miss Taylor Swift. Every album of hers, it's different sounds, different genres, aesthetic, color schemes, you name it. So her, Taylor Swift, being able to adapt herself in different sounds and aesthetics and stuff, she is being celebrated for that, and we see that it is a part of her success, that she's always trying to renew herself and reinvent herself. So Miley Cyrus is doing the same thing, so it cannot possibly be the reason why her album Plastic Hearts didn't succeed, right? And honestly, I genuinely don't know why Plastic Hearts didn't get the proper recognition. I've said this sentence so many times because I genuinely cannot find an only answer. Maybe it's a little bit of all of these factors that I've given to y'all. Maybe. But I don't know, because the singles of her Plastic Hearts era did well. So you cannot expect that because the singles did so well that the hype will be the same when it came to the album, but it didn't. Go listen to this album. I hope that I've given you the motivation to go listen to that album. It is so good. Honestly, it's a shame that Plastic Hearts was such a career-defining moment for Miley. I feel like it was her first cohesive album where she was so honest and raw and herself, and her vocals sound so fucking good in rock and also in country. Don't get me wrong, Miley Cyrus, the day that she releases a country album, bye, I'm gone. Like, I know it'll be so fucking good. Her in country and her in rock. That's why I love the song High on Plastic Hearts, because it has a lot of like country like sounds to it. So fucking good. And I think that it's such a shame that the public didn't make this album her moment, even though that she kind of had her moments with her song later on that she released, Flowers, in 2023. But I feel like when it came to An Endless Summer Vacation, the album that she released after Plastic Hearts, it didn't really like receive a lot of success. But Plastic Hearts had everything for it to succeed. That's what I think that it's strange about it. And I wish that this video made you want to listen to Plastic Hearts by Miley Cyrus. I swear it is so good. If you've listened to it the first time and you don't really like it, give it a second chance, maybe a third. You give more chances to your toxic ex, so you can give chances to Plastic Hearts by Miley Cyrus. It doesn't hurt you in any shape, way, or form. So on that note, I hope you have a beautiful night of sleep. I love you. Take care. Au revoir.